Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes as I take more of your questions. If you're enjoying these, please do hit like and subscribe. This question is from Mary Angela Douglas. My question is, if you could play any role in the world that you ever heard of in any movie or in books or just anything at all, what roles would you have wanted to or still want to play? I think some of the roles that just really struck me were in plays or musicals. Because I was so impacted the first time I saw the musical Camelot, I always wanted to play Guinevere, and I always thought that was a show I would have loved to have done. I felt the same way about My Fair Lady. I would have loved to have played Eliza Doolittle. I thought it was a fun show and just an entertaining one, and so I really enjoyed that. There's a lot of movies that I look at and think action things I would love to do. I still would love to do a Western. I think that would be fun. I like strong female roles, so I think things like that are roles that I see and think, oh, that would have been fun to do. So who knows what's still ahead for me. And then you said, for example, did you ever want to be in a Shakespeare play or something? Shakespeare, not so much. I just don't have a lot of experience with it, so I'm a little intimidated by it. Although I've never had trouble learning dialogue, the idea of learning Shakespeare, I don't know. I haven't really tried it, so maybe it's not as hard as I think it could be. But yeah, it hasn't drawn me in the same way because I've never really dug into it and worked to understand what's being said all the time with the language. So that hasn't been at the top of my list. Children's television, fairy tale segments. I love fantasy and certain sci-fi stuff, so doing fairy tales I think would be fun. I don't know, I'm an actor because I think it's fun, and I love storytelling, and I love uplifting things, and I love things that take people on an emotional journey, and I think sometimes things have to impact us strongly as well. So sometimes a good thriller or something historical that was important. I think things like that appeal to me. So there's just, I don't know, it's like music. There's a lot of things I like. And then, what do you do when and if you feel burnout? Gosh, I think we all hit those moments. Sometimes when I've done a really intensive show, particularly when I was working with theater and you're working really, really long hours, and towards the end of it, when you're behind the scenes and you're having to do, work all night to make sure that technical stuff is done or sets are built or there's deadlines, and when I was helping finish costumes, and so you're just, by the end of it, you're running on adrenaline. And then, so I think sometimes it was just give myself some time and just relax, and maybe, take some time, read a book, do nothing for a day or two to just recharge, sleep, those types of things. But I also sometimes will feel a letdown when I finished a show, even if it was really intensive. And so I like feeling like there's something new to look forward to. Music helps, hanging out with people I know and like, and, so friends, spending time with friends, people I'm close to, family, those things help. Sports are great because they demand your attention in a different way, and yet they're different from what I normally do, so I can sort of step away. So it's like compartmentalizing and stepping away from something and doing something that demands I be really in the present. So those things help. Action, getting into other types of action, changing up what I'm doing, I find helps. Would you ever want to do audiobooks? I would love to narrate audiobooks. I started to sort of look into it and realized how much technical stuff was involved nowadays in doing voice work, and how really talented so many people are that do voiceover work. And so I think the thing that has stopped me so far from doing it has been that nowadays a lot of people are working, setting up their own studios at home and doing it at home, and that involves really understanding the whole technical element of doing that. And I just haven't dug into any of that yet, but if there were an opportunity to do it where somebody else was handling all of the technical aspects and all I had to do was go in and actually do the book, then I think I would really enjoy that. So thank you. Those were interesting questions. This question's very special to me because it's from Tom Helm, and I didn't realize who it was until I read this question and then looked back at the name. So he said, if you talk about theater adventures, I'd love to hear your thoughts some 40 years later about your experience with Cinderella at Pittsburg Civic Light Opera. I believe you had just finished the first set of reunion movies when you did the production. I was the very young at the time conductor of that production and loved your enthusiasm in discussing the future possibilities of a life in the theater, as well as your real joy in performing the role. Thank you so much, Tom, and thank you for watching my channel and for enjoying the Waltons. It was one of the most wonderful experiences, and certain things are life-changing, and doing Cinderella at Pittsburg Civic Light Opera was life-changing because I always wanted to sing, I always wanted to do musicals, but I never thought that I was good enough singing. I had confidence in my acting, but I did not have any confidence in my singing because I discovered at 16 that I couldn't carry a tune. And so I thought, well, no one will ever hire me and pay me money to sing professionally. And so I took a lot of years of lessons and was very interested in doing it. And then I had an agent who was submitting me for different theater productions once the series ended. And so this opportunity came along to audition for Cinderella, and I had never done an actual musical audition before, so I chose a song that wasn't from a musical, and I probably did everything wrong, but I did have a lot of enthusiasm, and I loved the experience and loved the show. I loved Rodgers and Hammerstein's music, and I was familiar with the score. So I actually sang really well at that audition, and I was thrilled when they hired me. And then it was just this magical experience. It was fast and furious, and I thought everybody was so talented, and being part of a big production in Heinz Hall is absolutely amazing to perform in. It's like 3,500 seats, 2 balconies, and working with a director out of New York who I think was frustrated with me because I was so new to all of this that I think I always felt like she was trying to get more out of me, and I just didn't know. I didn't know how to get there at that point with this being my first show, so I was sorry if I disappointed her. I think I was in some ways in a little over my head. I remember the producer was very kind, and he talked to me at one point, and he said, if you really want to continue in musical theater, I think you should take some more classes. And he recommended a teacher who taught musical theater in LA, and I went back and I signed up for his class and started taking that class, and went back and started taking more singing lessons, and just learned more about doing stage as an adult and doing musicals as an adult. I'd done theater as a child, and it was a great training ground, but I was learning what was different about being on stage than being in front of the camera. Having that opportunity and working with the wonderful people. I thought you were amazing. I remember you, and you were so positive, and you gave me a lot of confidence, and so many people did in that experience. So although I realized I still had a lot to learn, I had a wonderful experience and wanted then to really dig in and get better at it. So thank you for taking me on this wonderful trip down memory lane. That's what I have for this segment of Behind the Scenes. I'll be back with more of your questions in another segment. Thanks for watching.